Chapter 30, Sci-Fi. There is no peace in Sci-Fi's head. The Fry doesn't know how bad it is. The Fry doesn't know how the feelings crash over him like storm-driven waves pounding a failing seawall. The wall is going to collapse soon, and when it does, Sci will lose it. He'll lose everything. His mind will spill out of his ears and down the drains of the streets of Joplin. He knows it. Then he sees the sign, now entering Joplin. His heart is his own, but it pounds in his chest, threatening to burst. And wouldn't that be a fine thing? They'd rush him to a hospital, give him someone else's ticker, and he'd have that kid to deal with, too. This boy in the corner of his head doesn't talk to him in words. He feels, he emotes. He doesn't understand that he's only a part of another kid. It's like how in a dream you know some things, and other things you should know, but you don't. This kid, he knows where he is, but he doesn't know he's not all here. He doesn't know he's part of someone else now. He keeps looking for things in Cyrus's head that just aren't there. Memories, connections. He keeps looking for words, but Cyrus's brain codes words differently. And so, the kid hurls out anger, terror, grief, waves pounding the wall, and beneath it all, there's a current tugging Cy forward. Something must be done here. Only the kid knows what it is. "Would it help to have a map?" asks the Fry. The question gets Cy mad. "Map won't help me," he says. "I need to see stuff. I need to be places. A map is just a map. It ain't being there." They stand at a corner on the outskirts of Joplin. It's like divining for water. Nothing looks familiar. "He doesn't know this place," Cy says. "Let's try another street." Block after block, intersection after intersection, it's the same. Nothing. Joplin is a small town, but not so small that a person could know all of it. Then, at last, they get to a main street. There are shops and restaurants up and down the road. It's just like any other town this size, but... Wait! What is it? "He knows this street," says Cy. "There! That ice cream shop. I can taste pumpkin ice cream. I hate pumpkin ice cream." "I'll bet he didn't." Cyrus nods. "It was his favorite, the loser." He points a finger at the ice cream shop and slowly swings his arm to the left. "He comes walking from that direction." He swings his arm to the right. "And when he's done, he goes that way." "So, do we track where he comes from or where he goes?" Cy chooses to go left, but finds himself at Joplin High, home of the Eagles. He gets an image of a sword and instantly knows. Fencing. The kid was on the fencing team here. "Swords are shiny," the Fry notes. Cy would throw him a dirty look if he weren't right on target. Swords are, indeed, shiny. He wonders if the kid ever stole swords and realizes that, yes, he probably did. Stealing the swords of opposing teams is a time-honored tradition of fencing. "This way," says the Fry, taking the lead. "He must have gone from school to the ice cream shop to home. Home is where we're going, right?" The answer comes to Cy as an urge deep in his brain that shoots straight to his gut. Salmon? More like a swordfish twisting on a line, and that line is pulling him relentlessly toward home, says Cy. Right. It's twilight now. Kids are out on the street. Half the cars have headlights on. As far as anyone knows, they're just two neighborhood kids headed wherever neighborhood kids go. No one seems to notice them. But there's a police car a block away. It was parked, but now it begins moving. They pass the ice cream parlor, and as they do, Cyrus can feel the change inside him. It's in his walk and in the way he holds himself. It's in all the tension points of his face. They're changing. His eyebrows lower, his jaw opens slightly. I'm not myself. That other kid is taking over. Should Cy let it happen, or should he fight it? But he knows it's already past the point of fighting. The only way to finish this is to let it happen. "Cy," says the kid next to him. Cy looks at him, and although part of him knows it's just Lev, another part of him panics. He instantly knows why. He closes his eyes for a moment and tries to convince the kid in his head that the Fry is a friend, not a threat. The kid seems to get it, and his panic drops a notch. Cy reaches a corner and turns left like he's done it 100 times. The rest of him shudders as he tries to keep up with his determined temporal lobe. Now a feeling comes on him, nervous, annoyed. He knows he must find a way to translate it into words. "I'm going to be late. They're going to be so mad. They're always so mad." Late for what? Dinner. They gotta eat it right on time or I get hell for it. They could eat without me, but they won't. They don't. They just stew, and the food goes cold, and it's my fault. My fault. Always my fault. So I gotta sit there, and they ask me how was my day. Fine. What did I learn? Nothing. What did I do wrong this time? Everything. It's not his voice. It's his vocal cords, but it's not his voice coming out of them. Same tones, but different inflections, a different accent, like the way he might have talked if he came from Joplin, home of the Eagles. As they turn around another corner, Cy catches sight of that cop car again. It's behind them, following slowly. No mistake about it, it's following. And that's not all. There's another police car up ahead, but that one's just waiting in front of a house. His house. My house. Cy is the salmon after all, and the police car is the bear. But even so, he can't stop. He's got to get to that house or die trying. As he nears the front walk, two men get out of a familiar Toyota parked across the street. It's the dads. They look at him, relief in their faces, but also pain. So they knew where he was coming. They must have known all along. "Cyrus," one of them calls. He wants to run to them. He wants them to just take him home, but he stops himself. He can't go home, not yet. They both stride toward him, getting in his path, but smart enough not to get in his face. "I gotta do this," he says in a voice he knows isn't his at all. That's when the police leap from their cars and grab him. They're too strong for him to fight them off. So he looks at the dads. "I gotta do this," he says again. "Don't be the bear." They look at each other, not understanding what he means. But then, maybe they do, because they step aside and say to the cops, "Let him go." "This is Lev," Cyrus says, amazed that the fry is willing to risk his own safety to stand by Cy now. Nobody bothers him either. The dads take a brief moment to acknowledge the fry, but quickly return their attention to Cyrus. The cops frisk Cy to make sure he has no weapon, and satisfied, they let him go on toward the house. But there is a weapon. It's something sharp and heavy. Right now, it's just in a corner of his mind, but in a few moments, it won't be. And now, Cy's scared, but he can't stop. There's a police officer at the front door talking in hushed tones to a man and woman standing at the threshold. They glance nervously at Cy. The part of Cy that isn't Cy knows this middle-aged couple so well, he's hit by a lightning bolt of emotion so violent he feels like he'll incinerate. As he walks toward the door, the flagstone path seems to undulate beneath his feet like a funhouse floor. Then finally he's standing before them. The couple looks scared, horrified. Part of him is happy at that, part of him sad, and part of him wishes he could be any place else in the world. But he no longer knows which part is which. He opens his mouth to speak, trying to translate the feelings into words. "Give it," he demands. "Give it to me, Mom. Give it to me, Dad." The woman covers her mouth and turns away. She presses out tears like she's a sponge in a fist. "Tyler?" says the man. "Tyler, is that you?" It's the first time Cyrus has a name to go with the part of him. "Tyler, yes. I'm Cyrus, but I'm also Tyler. I'm Cy-Ty." "Hurry," Cy-Ty says. "Give it to me. I need it now." "What, Tyler?" says the woman through her tears. "What do you want from us?" Cy-Ty tries to say it, but he can't get the word. He can't even get the image straight. It's a thing, a weapon? Still the image won't come, but the action does. He's miming something. He leans forward, puts one arm in front of the other. He's holding something long, angling it down. He thrusts both arms lower, and now he knows it's not a weapon he seeks. It's a tool, because he understands the action he's miming. He's digging. "Shovel," he says with a breath of relief. "I need the shovel." The man and woman look at each other. The policeman beside them nods, and the man says, "It's out in the shed." Cy-Ty makes a beeline through the house and out the back door with everyone following behind him. The couple, the cops, the dads, and the fry. He heads straight for the shed, grabs the shovel, he knew exactly where it was, and heads toward a corner of the yard where some twigs stick out of the ground. The twigs have been tied to form lopsided crosses. Cy-Ty knows this corner of the yard. He feels this place in his gut. This is where he buried his pets. He doesn't know their names or even what kind of animals they were, but he suspects one of them was an Irish setter. He gets images of what happened to each of them. One met up with a pack of wild dogs, another with a bus, the third old age. He takes the shovel and thrusts it into the ground, but not near any of their graves. He'd never disturb them, never. Instead, he presses his shovel into the soft earth 2 yards behind the graves. He grunts with every thrust of the shovel, hurling the dirt wildly to the side. Then, at just about 2 feet down, the shovel hits something with a dull thud. He drops to all fours and begins scooping out the earth with his hands. With the dirt cleared away, he reaches in, grabs a handle, and tugs until it comes up. He's holding a briefcase that's waterlogged and covered with mud. He puts it on the ground, flicks open the latches, and opens it. The moment he sees what's inside, Sai's entire brain seizes. He's frozen in a total system lockup. He can't move, can't think, because it's all so bright, so shiny in the slanted red rays of the sun. There are so many pretty things to look at. He can't move. But he must move. He must finish this. He digs both of his hands into the jewelry-filled briefcase, feeling the fine gold chains slide over his hands, hearing the rattle of metal against metal. There are diamonds and rubies, zircons and plastic, the priceless and the worthless all mixed in together. He doesn't remember where or when he stole any of it. He only knows that he did. He stole it, hoarded it, and hid it, put it in his own little grave to dig up when he needed it. But if he can give it back, then maybe... With hands tangled in gold chains, more blinding than the handcuffs on the policeman's belts, he stumbles toward the woman and man. Bits and pieces, rings and pins, fall from the tangled bundle into the brush of the yard. They slip through his fingers, but still he holds on to what he can until he's there in front of the man and woman, who now hold each other as if cowering in the path of the tornado. Then he falls to his knees, drops the bundle of shiny things at their feet, and rocking back and forth, makes a desperate plea. "Please," he says, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it." "Please," he says, "take it. I don't need it. I don't want it." "Please," he says, "do anything, but don't unwind me." And all at once, Sai realizes that Tyler doesn't know. The part of that boy which comprehends time and place isn't here, and never will be. Tyler can't understand that he's already gone, and nothing Sai can do will ever make him understand. So he goes on wailing. "Please don't unwind me. I'll do anything. Please don't unwind me. Please." Then behind him, he hears a voice.